Well, folks, here we are for another session of information, please. It's entirely unrehearsed and unprepared. What I do is shoot questions at 4 experts. If an expert thinks he knows the answer, he raises his hand. And whenever a question is muffed, you hear a cash register ring. And that means that Pathé is contributing $25 defense bond to the USO. And now for our 4 wise men. First, we have Oscar Levant, the pianist, composer, and motion picture actor. Next comes Howard Lindsay, famous as co-author and co-star of Life with Father. Then Franklin P. Adams of Conning Tower fame. And finally, John Kieran, our sports expert. Are you ready, gentlemen? Now, we're going to show some hands being dealt, and I want you to tell me what card games are being played just from the way in which the hands are dealt out. Can all of you gentlemen see the table pretty clearly, do you think? Any ideas? Well, apparently all of you gentlemen have had irregular lives. Mr. Adams?
That would be draw poker after the winners had gone home because it's a 4-handed game.
Yes, it's draw poker with Adams left out. That's quite right. Now we'll have the second deal. Watch carefully. Let's have all the cards dealt out first. We'll make absolutely sure of this. Any question, Mr. Levant?
Casino.
Casino, there's no doubt about that. You ever play it? Do you play it still?
Only on a train, on a deluxe train. And with somebody I don't know.
Now you're going to see some illustrated posters, and these should take you back quite a long way. Can you name the old melodrama which was advertised by each of them? Let's have the first of the posters. Step quite close to the experts, girls. Now, if you saw that old poster, what melodrama would it be advertising? Mr. Lindsay.
The Garden of Allah.
The Garden of Allah is absolutely right. Who wrote it, Mr. Lindsay?
Robert Hitchens.
Robert Hitchens. Was the play by him also? Was it dramatized by him? I know it was a famous novel.
That I don't recall.
Neither do I. Let's have the next. Good. Now, what play would be advertised? Mr. Levant.
Uncle Tom?
Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's quite right. And now the next. How about that? Look closely, gentlemen. Mr. Lindsay.
East Lynne.
East Lynne is absolutely right. Did you play in that, Mr. Lindsay?
No, I never played in East
No?
Lynne. I missed that one.
You must be one of the
Don't
few.
give up, boy.
I'm going to ask you to recite a line of poetry or prose for us that includes the following words. We'll start with city and go on to state, go on to country, and end up with continent. How about a line that includes the word city? Poetry or prose, Mr. Lindsay?
Oh, it was pitiful.
You're all
Here
right.
the whole city full.
Yes,
Home
how's it
she
going?
had
Home
none.
she had none.
What's it from, Mr. Lindsay?
Thomas Hood.
That's right. Bridge of Sighs. I
Bridge of
think.
Sighs.
Is that right, Mr. Adams?
That's right.
That's right. Mr. Levant?
Oh, Manhattan, where silks are satin.
Yes, if you want to take one particular city. How about a line with the word state in it? This can be the poetry or prose. Mr. Kieran.
Sail on, O ship of state.
Yes, that's a very good one. Did you have another one in mind, Mr. Adams?
I am the state.
I am the state, Louis XIV's famous utterance. How about one with the word country in it? That's perhaps the easiest of all. Country, Mr. Adams?
My country, right or wrong?
Yes.
Stephen Decatur.
Quite right. Mr. Levant?
My country, 'tis of thee.
My country, 'tis of thee, yes.
Don't tell me who wrote that.
Samuel F. Smith.
And I bet you didn't know.
No.
Not very many people know who wrote My Country, 'Tis of Thee. Now, how about a sentence or phrase with the word continent in it? Well-known sentence using the word continent.
My home is continent. Leave that out.
Well, the only one that I think most of us would remember is a phrase from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Does that come to mind to any of you now? 7 years ago, gentlemen, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent, and so forth. Oh, we got 3 out of 4 on that. We lost $25 in the form of a defense bond, which will be given to the USO. How about this one? Now, gentlemen, you're going to see a number of props that are used in Shakespeare plays, and each one of them in the original Shakespeare play is used to kill someone. All I want you to do is tell me the character who dies as a result of each of these weapons or props. Got it? Let's have the first. Come right along. Now, these are what, gentlemen? Mr. Lindsay, do you see clearly what they are?
Those would be asps,
Yes, and they would...
Cleopatra would have used them to kill herself.
That's quite correct, yes. Those aren't live asps, I don't believe. They look like fakes to me. All right, you may remove them. And bring in the next lethal prop. This gentleman is what? Mr. Kieran?
That would be a pillow, and it was with some such blunt instrument that Othello smothered Desdemona.
That's quite right, yes. Now you may remove the pillow.
I don't think it was a pillow, do you?
And let's see the next one. This looks more like the real thing. Mr. Adams.
Is that a dagger which I see before me?
That is a rather large dagger.
Come, let me clutch thee. What's that from, boy?
Macbeth.
That's right, but those lines are very good, Mr. Adams, but that really isn't a dagger, is it?
Well, that might be a sword that was used to kill Brutus.
Yes, I think it's a Roman sword used to kill Brutus. Wouldn't you say so,
Yes.
Mr. Adams and Mr. Kieran?
Short Roman sword.
Short Roman sword.
Gladius, in other words.
Do you want me to have a dagger brought in, Mr. Adams?
I'd love it.
Make it right. I'll remove the sword and bring in the next weapon. I hope you don't think this is a dagger, Mr. Adams. Mr. Kieran.
That, if with a little poison on the end, would be one of the foils with which Laertes slew Hamlet and vice versa.
That is, well, not exactly vice versa. Yes,
Oh,
that's
yes.
right. Yes,
Oh,
that's
indeed,
right.
vice versa.
And now I'm going to take you, gentlemen, back to your elementary school, or possibly your high school. You're going to see some diagrams on the blackboard. Tell me in what classroom you are if you saw this particular diagram. Let's have the first. Now, you walk into a classroom and you see this diagram on the blackboard. Where are you, Mr. Levant? Mr. Kieran?
We're in a biology class.
You are, and for what reason, Mr. Kieran?
Because that's the diagram of an elemental form of life.
Yes, a one-celled organism called the what?
Well, it might be, would that be a rotifera? Or
It's a paramecium, I believe.
Well,
Paramecium, little hairy little fellow.
Grammar
rotifers.
Yes, they have very small ones in grammar school. In high school, they're a little larger. Now show him the next diagram. Now you move from the biology class into what class, if you saw this? Mr. Lindsay.
English poetry.
English poetry is
Or
right.
any poetry.
What are you looking at, Mr. Lindsay?
You're looking at a metrical scheme.
Yes, a scanning of a line of poetry. And what foot?
Prosody, we call that.
Prosody is correct, Mr. Adams. And what foot is being represented?
Probably an anapest.
No, it's a dactyl, I think. Mr. Kieran, can you see it?
Yes.
It's one long and two short.
Yes, right,
Mr.
dactyl.
Kieran, can you think of a line which would illustrate that?
Yes, there's some dactyl in Virgil's Aeneid. Gens in a meet kami he nolo discriminator.
Anybody care to deny
They're
that?
all like that.
Well, there are
No,
there's some sponde in with the
Yes.
dactyl.
They are
Sorry.
kind of mixed up there. And now you move along and you come to another classroom. And in this classroom you see this diagram. And what classroom are you in? Mr. Levant.
Well, those are Roman numerals.
Maybe
They are Roman numerals.
They
Well,
are.
you
Would you
use
be
that-
in a Roman numeral class? What
No.
class would you be in?
In arithmetic.
No.
English. I don't know. You use it in music, for that matter.
Well, why don't you stick to music? Wouldn't you be in a harmony class?
Yeah, that would be harmony, yes, that's right.
What do the Roman numerals represent in harmony?
The different chords in elementary harmony. That's the tonic, and then the sixth chord, which I've forgotten it. The subdominant is the fourth, And the second is a... Gee, isn't that terrible?
Oh, why should you know all this?
Fifth is a dominant.
Well, it's perfectly obvious you'd be at home in the harmony class, Mr.
I'd
Levant.
flunk.
Well, you'd be at home in it if you stayed there a couple of, semesters. Now we get out of this classroom into another one. Let's have the next diagram. And where are you now? Mr. Kieran, where are you?
That is in a class on English grammar.
Yes. Do they still do that, Mr. Kieran, in school? I know when we went to school we had to.
Yes.
It seemed one of the silliest methods of learning about a sentence that I know of.
Did you parse?
I parsed.
Oh, he parsed with a very high mark, Mr. Adams. All right, girls, now you can leave. School's out, boys. Back to your encyclopedias.